Hey guys, my name is Nora Franch, and welcome to the podcast Grateful Blessed Mess, daily reflections for those in the 12 steps. I am a fellow 12-stepper and certified mindset coach, and I am here to introduce you to the value of mindset coaching in your 12-step journey. So if you feel like you are stuck in the steps, if you're slipping and sliding with your abstinence, mindset coaching may help you as it did me, and you can find me at CatholicMindsetCoaching.com. These episodes are meant to invite you in to consider the truths of 12-step wisdom and to join in the very real struggle of living them in action. I hope that it feels almost like a mini meeting, and I invite you to contribute your own share on the Grateful Blessedness Facebook group to keep the discussion going. My comments are based on my own experience, so feel free to take what you like and leave the rest. But my hope is to encourage you on your own daily 12-step journey. As they say, you cannot stay clean on yesterday's shower. So without further ado, let's begin. Hey guys, I'm switching it up today. We have an excerpt from Voices of Recovery. That's it's in the OA literature. We are reading from page 151, the entrance for May 30th. When working this step, we do more than just recite events from the past which we consider to be our wrongs. We need to look at what those actions cost us. That is from the OA 12 and 12, page 49. And I'll read the reflection for you. It is very difficult for me, in doing a fifth step, to discuss the payoffs as well as the costs of my character defects. It helps to admit to an outside source that there were rewards, however small, in doing much of what I did. In reviewing the rewards, however, I can see how small they were compared to the costs today. I get to hear myself acknowledge that the payoffs are no longer worth the pain. When I hear myself saying this out loud, I know I have come a long way toward accepting it as my truth. Yeah, that's really, really cool. I really like this. Something that was just really hard for me for years was the whole character defect thing, really. I had a really hard time labeling my character defects. I heard people say at one time they were useful for me, and that just baffled me. I was confused by that. And then even here they can say they say how in some way it was useful to you. And that baffled me too. And I was just so confused. And I did fourth steps and I did fifth steps, and I still just felt like I wasn't getting to the bottom of the barrel because I just couldn't label things. I couldn't put my finger on things that were happening other than ways that I behaved or ways that I acted that were not good. I could identify persons, places, and things that I was resentful at, things that I feared, things that, the columns that some of you might know for the fourth step, but who it affected, who was harmed, but I couldn't identify the specific character defect that I was literally stewing in or that carrying out into my actions. The thing in me that precipitated whatever negative action that I was able to identify. So actually that is where, again, a bunch of growth. I've experienced a bunch of growth in that area from coaching, because I was able to, specifically with this Catholic coaching, literally put a name on it, vice and virtue. And for me, that was just immensely, immensely helpful. A term that came up a lot was ungodly self-reliance, or even just, self-reliance in a bad way. And that's when I'm thank you, I got this. And it's funny because, especially in our culture, it's a very do-it-yourself. The American culture is a very do-it-yourself kind of culture. And really that is celebrated. And that is exactly what isolated me in my disease. I was in a dead end, and then I just burrowed into the ground in my self-reliance. And ways that I did that was just, not asking for help, not admitting powerlessness, not taking the time to self-reflect because I assumed I was right. or I assumed I must know what I'm doing because I'm an adult. Taking for granted the fact that in a loving way, in a gentle way, so that we can stop hurting ourselves the ways that I was in the wrong. And then another one, self-pity is something that I fall into a lot. And when people would talk about how some of our character defects could be helpful, I could not see how this one was helpful. I was like, this just seems bad. But maybe this will help some of you. I was able to get to the place where I was like, well, actually, no. Because if I'm in a place where, yes, I'm boohoo, woe is me, I'm at least acknowledging that my feelings are hurt. And that deserves attention. So it's not that I'm supposed to just be like, I'm fine, everything's fine. I don't feel anything. It's not supposed to be like that. It's when I'm in self-pity, because sometimes I just end up there without even realizing. I'm just like, whoa, what happened? I can be like, okay, clearly, like, this is my indication that something that was painful to me does need attention. Like, I need to acknowledge that that was hurtful, or that this is hard, or that no one's noticing, we struggle or something. I need to acknowledge that. And I need to sit in that for a minute so that then I can walk through to the other side instead of either pretending it's not there and then becoming just generally irritable, or just sinking into that pit of despair. And so once I've identified too, like, this ability to even put a name to the things I'm doing, to the vice I'm in, or the character defect that's showing up, whether it's anger, impatience, or pertinacity. Gosh, I love that one. That's such a cool word, where it's just you're stubbornly holding on to your belief. You're just digging in your heels, and you're completely unwilling to, like, hear the other side. I really love that word. I've started to fall in love with words since being on this journey of identifying things, of labeling things, of really finding out the specifics of what something means, because there's just this, like, satisfaction in me that's like, "Ooh, yes, that is what I'm feeling," or "that is what I'm doing," or "there's a word to describe this thing that just took me a paragraph to describe." Like, that's amazing. So pertinacity, just, I lost my train of thought, but being able to move through, to the other side. If I can put a label on something, then too, I can take it to prayer. I can take it to my higher power, and I can say, hey, this showed up again. And then when I say my 7-step prayer in the morning, I get on my knees and I say, I'm going to mess it up, but my creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. Please remove these defects of character. And I can say self-pity, anger, whatever one came up last night or this morning or the day before. Please remove these specific defects of character so I may be of use to you and my fellows. Grant me the strength to go from here. Amen. And I feel like the prayer is so much more powerful when we put the specifics in there of especially what we're dealing with in that moment, and, like, invite that grace in, invite our higher power into that struggle that we now want to engage in, because that is how we keep our sobriety and our abstinence. And we want that. We know we want it, and we're convinced of it, and we're convinced that we can't do it by ourselves and that we need him. So that is where I went with that. There was something else I wanted to comment on, and now it's gone. So maybe I've left you with enough food for thought today. Yeah. You know what? I'm just proud of you guys. Keep going. Keep going. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time. It will happen if you stick around. God bless. With that, I pass. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you feel that mindset coaching could help you on your 12-step journey, please feel free to reach out and find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. But more than that, it's important to me to give listeners like yourself a place where you do not need to feel alone on your 12-step journey. And for that reason, I've created a Facebook group. It's called Grateful Blessed Mess, and it's a place where listeners can go to add their own commentary on the share for the day, in addition to my own, and for us just to have a conversation or start a back and forth where people can find support in their 12-step journey. This is not a replacement for 12-step work. This is something outside of the 12 steps. It is simply something that has a heart for the 12 steps and those who are in it. And so, welcome. If you are here, chances are you may also be a bit of a mess. And I hope that you can learn to find some gratitude in the blessings that have come from your messes.